Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you the next chapter in the challenging love story between the single mother Hoài Ca and Officer Hùng. After the sweet early days, when Hoài Ca and Hùng officially moved in together, they began to truly feel the difficulties of daily life. Hùng remained devoted to his work at the unit, a career he had dedicated his entire youth to. But the pressure and sudden shifts kept him away from home most of the time. Meanwhile, Hoài Ca had to take care of Tony while shouldering the family's daily expenses. The old debts still unpaid, Tony's school fees, and the money Hùng occasionally sent back to support his parents in the countryside all made their household finances even more strained. At times, Hoài Ca couldn't help but wonder, could the two of them really keep moving forward if Hùng continued to pursue this arduous career path? Yet deep down, Hoài Ca still believed in their love and held on to the hope that Hùng would find a way to strike a balance, preserving the proud green uniform he wore, while also protecting the little family they were building together. So then, in the face of mounting challenges, what choice will Hùng make? Will he continue dedicating himself to his career? Or will he step back to stay beside Hoài Ca and Tony? All of this will be revealed in the episodes to come. When the call came from the office, the resolute voice of his superior echoed through the phone, making Hung's heart race faster. He knew this was the decisive moment, yet he couldn't suppress the tension inside. Throwing on the faded police uniform he had worn for years, Hùng took a deep breath and stepped into the gates of the department, the place he had once considered his second home. Inside the solemn office, the man waiting for him was not the familiar superior he had known for years, but a newly assigned leader. His gaze was sharp and cold, yet not without a trace of understanding. After listening to Hung's request to stay close to his family, the leader merely shook his head. He spoke slowly, but firmly. "You must understand, comrade, that staff rotations are not a matter of personal choice, but of discipline within the force. Every officer must place the nation's interests above their own. In this department, there are no exceptions." Those words fell heavy, tightening Hung's throat. He glanced at the wall lined with slogans about ideals and sacrifice, but in his heart rose the image of Hoài Ca and Tony, waiting for dinner at home. The new leader not only rejected his petition to stay, but also offered him advice. "You are a capable man. Don't abandon your career over personal matters. A transfer is not a loss, it's a challenge that will make you stronger." The words cut like a double-edged blade, encouraging on one side, cornering him on the other. Hùng stood up and gave a formal salute, yet inside he felt the crushing weight of his dilemma. On one side, the sacred green uniform, on the other, the woman and child who needed him now more than ever. When he heard the new leader clearly state that his request for temporary leave could not be approved, Hùng froze. His heart felt as if it were being squeezed tight. On one side was the career he had devoted nearly a decade of sweat and sacrifice to. On the other was the fragile little home he had just built, where Hoài Ca and Tony needed his presence every single day. His superior's words struck like a hammer against his already tangled thoughts. "Either you resign completely, or you accept the transfer. There is no third option." Hùng swallowed hard, his voice trembling as he tried to explain his situation. The single mother he had just moved in with, the little child still so young, the debt still weighing on his shoulders. All of it made it impossible for him to simply walk away from this place. The new leader listened, not with coldness, but with empathy, and offered words of counsel. "I understand what you're going through. But you need to think bigger. Everyone has their own struggles, and only when we learn to adapt and overcome do we truly grow. Don't cling so tightly to what is past that you miss the opportunities ahead." Those words stunned Hùng. In that moment it was as if a veil had been lifted. All this time, he had only thought about resisting change, never once considering whether he could adapt, or even turn this trial into a new opportunity. As he stepped out of the office, Hung looked up at the gray afternoon sky, his heart heavy with 100 conflicting thoughts. He longed for the job he had given his all to, yet he lacked the courage to let go. Ahead lay only two paths, and whichever he chose, his heart would ache all the same. Stepping out through the gates of the department, Hung still clenched in his hand the schedule marked with a Monday deadline. The ultimatum from his superior hung over him like a stone suspended in midair: either report to the new unit for duty, or submit his resignation immediately so the office could arrange a replacement. He lowered his gaze to the old commendation certificate, its edges yellowed with age, a testament to more than a decade of storms weathered, life and death moments, and countless words of gratitude from the people he had served. And now, all of it seemed to be testing his faith and ideals. Could all those sacrifices really end here, with just one decision? On the way home, Hung walked as if his legs were weighed down by stone. In silence, he recalled the nights on duty that stretched till dawn, the times he sat behind the wheel of a patrol car with sirens wailing, the moments his comrades embraced him after a successful case. They played before his eyes like a slow-motion reel, shaking him to the core. But then, the images of Hoài Ca and Tony suddenly surfaced, Hoài Ca's face grown thinner after days of worry, Tony's innocent smile as he waited for his father to come home for dinner. The thought of leaving them behind, moving to a new posting and abandoning Hoài Ca to struggle alone, made Hung's heart tighten in pain. Between the two paths, career and love, he wished to let go of neither. Yet only a single week remained, and the final decision would decide everything. That morning, Hoài Ca woke earlier than usual. The first rays of sunlight streamed through the old window frame, casting warm streaks across the floor. Unlike other days when she would rush off to the fields with her basket, she decided to spend the morning at home. The front yard had long gone untended, grass grew as high as her knees, and the flower bushes that once bloomed brightly now stood bare and withered under the sun. The sight made her heart tighten. This place had once been her childhood home, had once echoed with Tony's laughter, and yet now it seemed so desolate. Rolling up her sleeves and tying her hair neatly behind her neck, she set to work. Her hands, accustomed to farm work, began sweeping the yard corner by corner. The scraping sound of the broom mixed with the chirping of birds in the bamboo grove nearby. Each sweep, each stroke of the hoe carried within it her longing for a peaceful home, a shaded garden where Tony could run freely, while she and Hung could sit together under the eaves, sipping tea and listening to the breeze carry the scent of flowers. After gathering a pile of dry leaves, Hoài Ca brought out several saplings she had bought the day before at the market, mango, jackfruit, and clusters of bougainvillea. As she dug small holes, she thought to herself, if she planted them today, in a few years the garden would be lush with greenery, each season bearing flowers and fruits to remind them of patience and hope. Just as she was bending down to press a sapling into the soil, a voice called from the gate. "Ca, are you home, dear?" She quickly looked up to see the familiar figure of Mother Ha leaning on her cane as she walked in. Her face was kind, though lined with the worries of a life well lived. Seeing Hoài Ca's clothes soiled with earth, she hurried over. "My girl, why aren't you out in the fields today? Why so busy here instead?" Hoài Ca wiped the sweat from her forehead and smiled, though it was tinged with fatigue. She invited the older woman to sit on the wooden bench under the shade of a tree, then hurried inside to pour a hot cup of green tea. At first, their conversation was light, about the weather, about the freshly tended garden. But soon Hoài Ca's heart grew heavy. Her eyes reddened as she sighed. "Mother, Hung has been so troubled lately. His request for temporary leave wasn't approved, and now he's been ordered to transfer. He's deeply upset. I don't know how to comfort him." Mother Ha fell silent for a while, slowly sipping her tea. Her eyes grew distant, as though recalling her own years of hardship. Setting the cup down, She spoke in a voice that was both firm and filled with love. Hung is a man with ambition, my child. To stand in the police force, to hold his position now, this was not easy to achieve. Some people work their whole lives and never get that far. If he gives it all up now, and regrets it later, where will he find it again? The word struck Hoica, leaving her quiet. Her hands twisted her sleeve unconsciously as her heart ached for Hung. No one knew better than she how much he had sacrificed, the sleepless nights on duty, the weary face returning home, yet still forcing a smile for Tony. If he gave it all up now, would that mean losing everything he had bled and sweated for? Mother Hu's gaze was deep as she gently took Hoica's hand in her frail one. You must encourage him. Everyone faces hardships, but with love and unity, the two of you can overcome them. This isn't just a job for him, it's his career, his ideal. You must understand, there are things that, once lost, can never be regained. Tears welled in Hoica's eyes. She nodded, answering with a trembling voice. I understand, Mother. I'll always be by his side, to give him strength. In that moment, a new sense of determination arose within her. No matter how many storms lay ahead, she knew she would be the steadfast support behind Hung, so that he would never have to stand alone. While Hoica and Mother Hu were chatting under the shade of the veranda, the old wooden gate creaked open. Hung stepped in from outside, his tall figure weighed down by heavy footsteps, the shoulders of his police uniform still dusted from the road. Seeing him, Hoica froze for a moment, then quickly stood up to greet him. Mother Hu, with her gentle smile, slowly made her way forward with her cane. You're back already, Hung? Hung bowed respectfully, greeting them both. Yes, Mother, hello. I just came back from the office. The air warmed with familiarity, but weariness lingered in Hung's eyes. Sensing it, Mother Hu gently probed, her voice full of concern. Hung, I heard you've been having trouble at work, that your leave request wasn't approved. I want to hear your heart, maybe I can offer a few words of advice. Hung nodded slightly and sighed. Sitting down, his fingers clasped tightly together, he spoke slowly, his voice heavy. Yes, that's right. The new superior has made it clear, either I report to the new post next week, or I resign entirely. I have only 1 week left to decide. I'm truly torn, Mother. His gaze drifted toward the garden Hoica had just cleaned, before he continued. I love Hoica and Tony very much. I don't want to be far from them. And I want to stay here, to keep working so I can rebuild this house, the house I've poured so much effort, sweat, and hope into. If I leave now, it feels like I'm losing everything. At those words, Hoica's eyes blurred with tears. She knew every word came from his heart, from love, but also from his stubborn longing. Yet she also knew that if he clung too tightly to this thought, the road ahead would only narrow further. Mother Hu sat in silence for a while before speaking, her voice steady with the weight of life's storms. Hung, a house is only material. If it crumbles, it can be rebuilt. If it's lost, you can build another. What matters most is not the walls, but the people, yourself, and the family you're protecting. If you sacrifice your lifelong career just for the sake of this house, that would be foolish. Beside him, Hoica gently clasped his hand, her eyes resolute yet tender. Please don't hold on so tightly to the house. If you continue your career in the police, if you have a strong future, then together we can build again, something even better, wealthier, more beautiful than the old home ever was. I believe in you. Hung fell silent. His heart ached as though gripped by an invisible hand. Deep down, he knew they were right. The house, no matter how many memories it held, was still only bricks and tiles. But the career he had devoted his youth to, if he let it go now, who knew when he could ever reclaim it? Mother Ha placed her frail but warm hand on his shoulder, her voice soft but firm. My son, think carefully. Sometimes we must accept losing one thing in order to preserve something greater. Look ahead, not just behind. The room sank into silence. Only the rustling of bamboo leaves in the wind drifted in from the lane outside. Hung sat there, between the two women he loved and respected most, his heart overflowing with emotion. In that moment, he knew he couldn't rush his choice. But at the very least, he realized, Hoài Ca's love and Mother Ha's words were the strength he needed to keep moving forward. Hoài Ca gently held Hung's hand, her eyes shining with both determination and tenderness. Her voice was low yet warm, as if she wanted to pour all her trust into the man before her. Darling, whether you are near or far, my heart will always belong to you. Wherever you go, I will always be looking toward you. In this home, Tony and I will be waiting for you to return. If you can come back to visit us on weekends, that alone is more than enough for me. Please, don't worry too much about us. Hearing those words, Hung felt his heart tighten. He had always been a strong man, hardened by work and life, but in that moment, before Hoài Ca's trusting gaze and her trembling yet warm hand, his heart softened. His eyes grew moist, but he forced himself to hold back the emotions, only giving a faint nod. Hoài Ca continued, her voice carrying both sacrifice and pride. Go on with confidence, and do what you believe is right. I know your work isn't easy, and you can't avoid it forever. But remember this, you are never alone. Behind you, there's me, there's Tony, and there's Mother too. We are your home front. Then, she squeezed his hand more tightly, as if engraving a silent promise. No matter how stormy the road ahead might be, she would be by his side, never letting go. Hung lifted his gaze to look at Hoài Ca, her word, home front, echoing in his mind. The weight of his duties, the burdens of work, the transfer orders, the fear of losing his family, all of it seemed to ease a little. He realized that what makes a man strong is not just the uniform or the gun on his hip, but the trust and love he receives from those he loves. Just then, Tony ran out of the house, clinging to his father's leg and looking up with innocent eyes. Daddy, even if you go far away, you'll still come back to me and Mommy, right? That simple, childlike question left Hung speechless. He bent down, gathering his son into his arms, and with a husky voice he whispered, Yes, I promise. No matter where I go, I will always come back to you and Mommy. At that moment, the yard was filled with an indescribable warmth. No matter how many hardships and trials awaited outside, in this very instant, Hung felt it clearly, this was his anchor, his strength to stand tall. The love story of single mother Hoài Ca and Officer Hung pauses here. Will Hung's decision strengthen their bond, or will new challenges arise? The answer will be revealed in the next episode. If you found this story touching and meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next exciting chapter. See you in the upcoming episode.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại về kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người một video về phần tiếp theo về mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Như mọi người cũng biết là mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca thì và cảnh sát Hùng hiện tại đang ở chung với nhau. Thì nếu như mà cả hai không có gì thay đổi thì sẽ có một cuộc sống khá êm đềm và hạnh phúc. Tuy nhiên mọi người cũng biết là cuộc sống không bao giờ lúc nào cũng được như mình mong ước hết, là trong khi đó là Hoài Ca và mẹ và Hùng thì đang gặp phải một khó khăn, đó là về công việc của Hùng thì hiện tại anh đang bắt buộc phải điều chuyển công tác đi, và nếu như mà anh muốn tiếp tục ở lại đây thì anh cần phải nghỉ việc thì mới có thể ở cạnh Hoài Ca. Thì Hùng cũng đã nghĩ đến trường hợp sẽ nghỉ lại và ở nhà buôn bán. Vậy thì liệu chuyện gì sẽ xảy ra tiếp theo và Hùng có từ bỏ công việc cảnh sát mà mình yêu quý suốt thời gian từ trước đến giờ để vì Hoài Ca và ở lại hay không, thì mọi người hãy cùng đón xem ở tập sau nha.